Welcome. I am Karen Hall, and I am here with Dame Doria Cordova. She is the owner of the Accelerated Business School for Entrepreneurs, Money, and You, where she has had over 200,000 graduates in over 85 countries and counting. She is such an amazing woman. And with Dame Doria, she has accomplished so much in her life. And as a Latina woman, she is a very powerful example of not just a woman who has achieved incredible financial success, incredible success as an entrepreneur and a leader, but especially as a Latina woman. And so, Dame Doria, thank you so much for being with us today.
It's a pleasure. Tan lindo estar contigo.
Thank you so much. So tell us, what are some of the challenges that face Latina women specifically in being able to succeed?
Well, this is a really interesting question for me because I actually think that there is no limits. There is no challenge. It's like I grew up in Chile and I was brought to the United States when I was 12 years old. And I was surrounded. My mother had her own beauty salon in Santiago, Chile in the 50s when a lot of women did not, very few women had their own business, right? And
Right,
she was
right.
only like 30 years old. I was 5 years old. And what was so interesting when we came to the United States, a lot of the people that we came with, the immigrants at the time, had been very successful in their country and had learning experiences, wanted to come here to the US and be able to work here and they all had what they considered temporary jobs until they created their own businesses. So my environment was a little bit different because the men got together on the weekends and would discuss how to collaborate with each other, how to pull the money together and work with each other to bring themselves out of making minimum wage. So I was surrounded by a lot of entrepreneurs, by quite a few entrepreneurs, and that kind of rubbed off on me. And I kind of did not know that I mean, I know I'm Chilean, I know I'm Latin. But like my mother, they tried to put me when we first came, they tried to put me in a non-English speaking course, and my mother would have none of that, none of that. She goes, no, 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 put her in the English class and she'll figure it out. So I had to learn English in 6 months' time. And so we had tremendous high self-esteem. And it was like, you you understand that as a woman, you probably have some disadvantages. All women do. And you're just going to have to work extra hard and you're going to have to put longer hours in and succeed. So there wasn't like a lot of choice about that. And 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 so I kind of had a different experience. And and very quickly, as I grew up in Los Angeles and then I started working in the legal system, and then I decided to train to be a court reporter. I had to really master the English language at every level in regards to spelling, learning all kinds of different words. In court reporting school, you have 2 years of law and you have 2 years of medical um, phrases of medicine. You have to learn every bone, everything in the body so that you can take, when you're taking testimony, you can understand it. And
Right.
then you kind of like dictate into this. You had this recording in order for people to transcribe your work. And something really interesting happens is that when you listen to yourself, the brain automatically begins to correct. So I began to correct my own accent. And that's why since my early 20s, I've had a very interesting accent. And then traveling around the world, when I spend a lot of time in Australia, I come back speaking like an Australian. She'd be right, mate. And it was like I pick up all these sayings. And so I have been very international, but I do know that when I see Latina women having problems, there usually is their own lack of self esteem. And this
Mhm.
is why as soon as I can support them, I do, in them getting educated, in improving their grammar, their English, and getting much more educated than otherwise other people would have to be, and to be able to use that disadvantage to their advantage. So you do
Wow.
to learn more. You must master the English language. And I'm one of the best spellers editor. I can catch, I know the difference between, all these words that sound alike because of court reporting school. But I train Latin women, and not only Latin women, Asian women and women from around the world to really master the language. So that will really help when you are very eloquent in the English language. You just happen to maybe have an accent, but people will see you as an educated human.
Right. Oh my goodness. This is really interesting about your perception that you did not feel that you had a disadvantage because you were raised not thinking that there were barriers. With when watching your mother as an entrepreneur at such a unique time in society to be able to have done that. How in the world did she become an entrepreneur? Because I can imagine, funds were an issue and even being able to be away from home. How did she become an entrepreneur and open that first beauty salon?
Oh, my mother in the 50s? Oh, no,
Yes.
mama has always been very good with money. Everybody lived at home. You were able to save, and she just was very good. She just got really good at what she was, and she made a lot of money, and she saved it, and then we have a thing that you can go to moneyandyou.com and download a book, The Business Success Model. And Mama actually practiced the business success model because what she
Oh,
did, she learned from masters. She created a niche. She had a certain way of doing hair that people loved. And then she leveraged herself by renting out different booths, right? So she rented, the salon and and with her savings, put all the different chairs and then rented them out. And then that allowed for her to not have to handle the rent and certain costs. And then she was able to keep growing the business. She was very good entrepreneur because she capitalized the business constantly. She made her own shampoo. She went to the prisons to have equipment made for her by people and that were in prison, and that helped them. And then it was also for me was an opportunity, a teaching moment for me to see why people were in prison. She used to take me with her whenever we would go pick up the little perm little things that are made out of wood in the 50s. And so she leveraged through an aligned team. Those were the other young women that would rent, the chairs from her. And then they created synergy and created tremendous success. And it was fun. Everybody wanted to come to Mama's beauty salon because it was fun. There was laughter, there was music, there was, and I remember in those days they had tea and they had cookies. In those days, salons didn't have tea and cookies, but Mama had it. So she was like this. It was like a party in her beauty salon all the time. And so I believe that we learn so much from our environment, and it's very important for women of if you are in a foreign country, no matter what foreign country you're in, and I want to make this very international because we're not just talking to people in the United States, right? Because the Los Angeles Tribune is very international now, right? So
right.
you have to learn what the customs are in whatever country you're going in, and then really learn the rules of the game on how to participate in that society, in that community, and then surround yourself with people that will be loving and caring of you. So you must find a mentor, you must find a team of people that will work with you and will guide you, and you will make mistakes. So it's it's all the basics. It's all the basics that we teach in our Money and You program that we cover so much in in many of the summits that we have through the Los Angeles Tribune, in the many courses that I do, we teach people all these different tools. And whether you are Latin, whether you are Asian, you know, black, or you are whatever color people come up with, and whether you are a man or a woman, it's all the same. The level of intelligence that you have to bring yourself up to, and your level, not only emotional intelligence, financial intelligence, world affairs, and also etiquette. And I know these are old words, but also civics, so you can have nice conversations with people, intelligent conversations, and go back to all the basics, and you will be a bit of a rare bird right now, because so many people are just kind of like so uh, what's the word, I want to say, so one mind, they're just like in this one lane, like
Yeah.
social media is it, or this is it, and it's like whatever the latest is. That is not how the world works. You have to
Right.
have an economic engine. You have to understand money and business, and you have to understand that as a woman you are going to have to work harder and try harder.
Yes, I think that's so important to understand that and to not fight against that. But like you were talking about Aikido, to just embrace it and go with it, not to resist. Can you tell us some examples of times where you were trying to learn the rules of the game and to not resist and to play by those rules, a challenging time for you?
Oh, that would have been when I first started working in as a court reporter in the criminal court systems, right? And there was such a hierarchy of people. Like we were all very young. We were in our 24, 25 years old, and some of the older folks that were 29, 30 years old, right? But I was working very closely with attorneys, public defenders, prosecutors. Then you had the judges, and you had the police that came in, and then you had the staff in the actual courtroom, and you had the judges. So there was kind of like a hierarchy, and it was really important to understand how to participate in that environment. But that is true in every environment. If you go into a new office, if you go into a new business, so you have to go through the different stages of learning and understanding and asking questions, and not coming in, like a bull in a china shop, that you kind of like know it all. And it's so interesting to me. Sometimes, every once in a while, I sometimes in my own family, I will have somebody very young that will like challenge me, and and like think that they know so much more than I do. And that comes with youth, right? That comes from being very young and not being experienced. But I always teach the young to just kind of like work your way into any environment, because that's what I did. And I did make some mistakes, and this was way back in the 70s. I know a manager that kind of tried to corner me in a storage room, and was quite aggressive. And then I pretty much says, I just want you to know that my boyfriend picks me up every single night, and if I were to tell him what's happening right now, I don't know what he will do to you. And he's a really big guy. And that was kind of like a street smart. And I
Yeah.
remember him kind of like backing off. And um and then, of course, I did tell my boyfriend about it, who did pick me up that night, and I never went back. It was just simply, look, I
Yeah.
can go beat the crap out of the guy right now, or let's just have you find another job. And I did. And so, in an earlier conversation that you and I were having, we've had wonderful conversations, and I was talking about
Mhm.
knowing when to leave an environment. It's like, know how to behave when you're first getting into that environment, learn the rules, learn who is the the lead, who is the troublemaker. Kind of be a little bit quiet and kind of learn all the people and all the rules of the game. But then if that environment is not for you, you can leave. You just have to plan it. You have to be responsible about it. And that's a superpower that I've always had that I highly recommend to Latinas and to any other women on the planet.
Right. That's a very powerful tool. And to be able to, like you said, to be street smart and to be able to assess your situation, to know how to get out and how to get out safely, emotionally safety and physical safety. Those are both very important skills to have. And you were very creative to figure out how to get out of that situation. Another question that I have for you, you talked about leveraging and how your mother was very creative in the way that she leveraged the situation and hired the other women to have a booth and even using the prisoners to help with the wooden rods. What are some ways that you have been creative in leveraging to help you be successful?
Well, I didn't know that I understood leverage so well. But I think that again, I picked that up from being in the legal system for 8 years. But one of the things that I figured out very young is like, okay, and this is way back in the day, right? So a lot of money would be $50 an hour. I used to get paid actually $50 in the 70s, in 1972, 73. I used to be paid $50 a session for translating
Wow.
and that was a lot of money, right? And then I figured out that I can hire somebody to do errands and things for me that I only would pay in those days. Making $3 an hour, $4 an hour was a lot of money. And
Yep.
so I was making $50 and I could hire somebody to do things for me for $3 an hour. Immediately, I was way ahead of the game. So it's like if you can leverage whatever money you have, whatever resources you have, in order for you to stay focused on the thing that's going to bring you the most income, the most revenues into your business, and then have others do things that you shouldn't be doing because they're not income generators, that's one of the probably one of my biggest superpowers that I've had. So leverage everything, whatever money you have, whatever time, whatever resources. And sometimes family can help. Those that's what family businesses are all about. All the children help out, the brothers and sisters help out until we get going, right? That's the old-fashioned family style business. And that's still true to today. It's like you don't have to pay for everything. You can even ask for, you can exchange with people. You can being creative of how to use resources, having access to cash investments, to experts and to resources, assets, is my new definition of wealth. So most of us don't take into account all the access that we have, and I highly recommend that you do that.
Right. This reminds me of when you were talking about, your mom coming over and how the immigrants would get together and they would collaborate and they would help each other to succeed to get out of the minimum wage job to where they could start their own businesses. And that collaboration, I think, is so vital, and yet many times it can be elusive for us. Many times other people don't have that same mentality, or there may be someone that has a scarcity mentality and someone that has an abundance mentality, and trying to find the right match as a collaborator. What would you advise a woman who was trying to utilize her resources and collaborate with other people to get ahead? What would you recommend to her?
Well, number one, if you're listening to this, you're already connected probably to either the Money and You Network, my business school, the Fridays with Doria, the Los Angeles Tribune. This is a really good environment for you to start connecting with other women, other people that will empower and support you. Because the one thing that you have in common is the knowledge that you are gathering, the information that you're gathering. So if you, I notice, for instance, this is why I love to be there for all the summits. You know, I love to be there. I do my best to spend as much time as I can, like on the Facebook, um, feed. And people say, "Oh my God, you're so successful. You're so this. You're so that. It's so amazing that you're there." Well, they don't realize that I'm actually learning quite a bit about what's happening in the world, and I'm also looking at people that potentially could even be clients of mine, or they could provide a service for me. You're always in a gathering mode, right? So what you can do is you can begin to participate more even in the comments, and even begin to say, I'm looking for a group of women that I can maybe talk to about my entrepreneurial challenges. Or I'm an employee and I would love to be able to move out of that responsibly, and find a more and a more um, attractive environment for me to work in. And this is in Money and You. One of the things that people get very clear on is whether they're truly an entrepreneur or whether they want to be part of an entrepreneurial team, because not everyone is a leader, right? So you need to have people that work in the team. And so you jumping in and working with groups and working with different uh, people, it will begin to identify for yourself what truly is your personality style. And then, of course, in Money and You, we use DISC, DISC, and our master that we've had with us for 45 years, Carol Dysart, is so good at helping people identify what are they the best at. So it's a holistic process. It's finding your tribe, doing your personality style, learning about entrepreneurial education, learning about what's happening in the world, how to build your economic engine. And then you begin to find those people that you are in alignment with. And you don't need that many. There's three or five of us together can really support each other. And then you create these little parts of people that you become really attractive, and then more people want to participate with you. So you can just
Oh,
start very slow. You don't have to have a lot of money or big contacts. You just have to participate in life.
oh, gives us so much hope that it doesn't have to be, this huge group of people that we are collaborating with, and and that we can make a difference even if we just have a couple people that we are truly aligned with. Because, as the rising tide lifts all boats, that is exactly what you're talking about, is that as we, the synergy, that the sum is greater than the whole, or the whole, whatever, that saying, than its parts. And so it really is true that we do, as we join together in alignment, we have greater power, and that helps us to accomplish our goals. You also mentioned something that made me think about your spirituality, because I know that the Ho'oponopono clearing that you do has been influential in your life. Could you tell us more about how your spiritual being has impacted your success in life?
Well, originally I had a lot. I suffered a lot when I was 18 years old until I was 23. Excuse me, 21. And then I really shut down my heart for 8 years until I had an enlightenment experience in Hawaii. And that gave me an experience that there was much more to life than just me. And then I also had the experience that I only had control over one thing, which was my own consciousness. So I went to work and I met people like Sandra Ray that guided me through the most beautiful processes, including introducing me to the magical exercises that I always recommend for people to go to Fridays with Doria, go on the resources and look for magical exercises, right? I did those at 27 years old. And then and then I studied with Buckminster Fuller, who loved nature. He loved generalized principles and how generalized principles run your life, whether you believe in them or not. And so then I became aware of that. And then I had different teachings, breathing and meditating. I had body work. I had all these things. And then I met this wonderful guru named Sai Baba. And Sai Baba was a lot of times I don't talk too much about Sai Baba, but I love Sai Baba. And Sai Baba kind of like began to come into my consciousness. And then that kind of opened it up for me to being open to the whole Ponopono prayer in 1984. I met Sai Baba um, spiritually in 1982, and in 1984 I met Morna Simeona. And Morna's prayer shifted my energy in my life so much. I began to create these processes within myself to constantly be cutting aka cords and be releasing those things that didn't empower me the most, including judgments, including situations, and my life just really took off. And I
Wow.
and it was like, and I just kept doing them, and I've been doing them for 40 years. And again, I'm gonna knock on wood because I am being a Latina woman, I am a little bit superstitious. And I just came back from Asia, and there's a lot of superstition in Asia too, and I believe it. I have all kinds of beautiful little things on me that protect me. I have my little protection things, um, and what I learned is that when I keep choosing the most loving thoughts, no matter what the situation is, my energy shifts, and I have all these hacks that I do. Like when I'm really upset or something is horrible is happening, I take 3 deep breaths and then I start being thankful. I make myself be thankful. I'm thankful for the computer. I'm thankful for love. I'm thankful for light. I'm thankful for the breath. I'm thankful for water. And so my state on a daily basis is gratitude. So
Mhm.
even a lot of people don't know this about me, but I love water. I love water. So I love showers and baths and things, right? And I am so grateful. So every morning when I shower, I am so grateful for that water. You realize there's 2 billion people that don't have running water, right?
Oh,
And it's like how grateful I am that I'm in the 6 billion side that does. And it's like, so gratitude. And so moment to moment to moment to moment, self mastery, I think, has come out of all those different masters and disciplines, including Ho'oponopono, which I do once a month through fridayswithdoria.com. You can always go there. And it's a very simple prayer. I don't teach it. I don't certify people, none of that. I do the prayer and people keep me company while my beloved and I do the prayer. And I noticed that things just go really nice. Everything just kind of happens very beautifully. Even in the airport, I'm rushing and people just kind of move out of the way. I don't push them. I don't say it. I just kind of go, can you please move over in my head? And they just kind of move over. It's so interesting. Or, I want a really effortless, I have huge luggage because I have so many things that I brought back from Asia. And my beloved took a different flight. He had to do something else. And then I just go, I stood there in the middle of where the luggage comes in international at Los Angeles. And I stood there and I go, okay, let me see who is the perfect person to find me a porter that's going to take me to the car, to the big truck that's going to take me to the hotel. And it's like I just stood there. The right person comes along. I'm very polite. I give him tips. And then big boy, just he looked like a boy to me. He's probably 18 years old. And he just takes my luggage, takes everything, and then just everything. Shh, shh, shh. Love, love, love. That is such a powerful way to be. And
ah,
trust me when I tell you, I have to work on this, okay? Because I get affected by many things. I do. And I just keep choosing, choosing, choosing. and that frequency, that energy, people get attracted to you. You know, you get to the hotel. I'm like, what do you mean $6.50 a bottle of water? What about somebody that just makes minimum wage? They're going to spend half an hour of their time just to pay for this bottle of water. And then the bellboy goes, "Oh, you don't have to buy water. There is a water filter right around the corner." I said, "Are you supposed to be telling me this?" He goes, "No." He goes, "But you seem to be so upset about the water." I go, "I'm upset about people that can't afford the water. I can buy all the water I want." He goes, "Well, there's free water over there." And he was like, "Thank you, God." So see that frequency? That's
Mhm.
that's what Ho'oponopono does.
Right. Can you share with us more about your spiritual enlightenment that happened when you were in Hawaii?
It wasn't it was an enlightenment experience. It happened very quickly. And then of course, I had suffered a lot. I had closed down my heart when my beloved died, and I lost a couple of babies on miscarriages, and I had 13 additional friends. My boyfriend was the first that passed away very quickly. Vietnam War. There was a lot of horrendous things happening.
Mhm.
Martin Luther King, the Kennedys. It was pretty bad. It was similar to how it is right now, right? But I was much younger, and so I was not a happy person in Los Angeles being an official court reporter, and I moved to Maui, and I moved to Hawaii to be a court reporter there. I was the first Maui court reporter. And then I went on a sailing trip with my then boyfriend, and I was in the island of Kauai and this beautiful place called Hanalei Bay. And at 12 noon, I saw this most beautiful, it's called the wettest spot on earth. And I had this experience that just came out of nowhere, out of seeing all this beauty and the water. And my boyfriend was cleaning the boat, and my roommate had come over to visit with us, and she was beautiful, and she was lying there also getting a suntan. And all of a sudden, I just kind of left my body, and I actually thought I was dying because I started going back, 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 back. But I was very young; I was only 26. But I went through all the sadness of all my friends and my babies and my boyfriend, and then this, and that. And then I went poof into this experience of being one with something. And I was out in, I, there's no words to describe it, but the closest would be being out in space just with a million stars and love and light, the most loving thing, which I had never ever experienced. And and I came back in, and I didn't know about chakras, nothing, nothing. And my heart chakra, now that I know what it is, it opened up so quickly that it hurt, and I thought I was having a heart attack. And so I screamed, and Bob, my boyfriend, and then Susie, my roommate, came over and went. And I used to have these fits about my boyfriend and my babies dying and so Bob kept saying, "Are you? Is it about Larry? Is it about the babies? Is it about Larry?" And I couldn't talk, and I kept saying, "No, no, no," and my whole world changed. And and in my body, I experienced this message, which was, "I did not put you on planet Earth to be a party girl. You have a job to do." And I go, "What the heck does that mean? I have a job. I'm a call reporter."
Yeah.
Not, I had zero knowledge about anything. Please, all of you need to understand, we didn't have podcasts, we didn't have summits, we didn't have books, we didn't have the movies, we didn't have any of it. They were Think and Grow Rich, um, Psycho-Cybernetics, and a few other books. Think as a Men Thinketh, which I had read. That's it. That's what we had, you guys. We didn't have what we have now. So I didn't
Right.
have that knowledge. And it was just life changing. And I changed so much. People thought I had kind of facelift. I'm looking at it, I'm going, I am 25 years old. 25-year-olds don't get facelifts. Okay. My face changed so much. And I moved from Maui to to Oahu, continue being a court reporter. And the first case I had was the state of Hawaii versus the EST organization for uh, actually practicing license without a license, without practicing psychology without a license. And the greatest enrollers enrolled me in the first S training that I ever did, which was the predecessor of landmark education. And then that just started my whole awakening that I've been doing now for almost 50 years, 49 years. And it was
Oh,
all about changing my consciousness. That's it. And then
that,
the outer changes. Everything, like when you work on yourself, then everything begins to shift and shift, and doors open and more doors open. I mean, sometimes your biggest problem is how many choices you have. And that's what you want to wish for. Ooh,
yeah,
let me have a problem that I have so many choices, I don't know which one to choose.
yes, a good problem to have. Yes, this is so amazing how feeling that loving energy that you felt when you were taken back through that pain, and then to come to that loving energy. I've heard many people talk about near death experiences where they felt that great love and that they felt this healing power that helped them to change their whole perspective on pain, difficult situations, and it sounds like you had something very similar to that that helped you then where people could even see the change in your countenance.
Well, it was meant to be. It was meant to be. It was my destiny when I look back, because had my boyfriend not died, had I not miscarried my babies, had all those beautiful total of 14 very close friends die. By the way, only two were girls, 12 were boys, which was really interesting.
Yeah.
Had I not had all those horrific experiences, you know, I have no idea. I'm not even sure that I would have survived this long, because I wouldn't have had the discipline to stop drinking, to stop eating meat, to stop doing all the things that don't allow for the body to thrive the way that mine does, and keep me youthful at 75 without surgery, just being myself and this level of energy that I can access whenever I want. And so I think we all have a destiny, but hard the hardest part is the decisions that you have to make when you have to let go of things that truly do not support you. that's
Yes.
that is so tough. I mean, if you know that drinking is hurting you, it's not going to allow you to live, if you drink a lot, you're not going to live a long life, and you're going to have all these wrinkles. You're going to, your liver, you're going to drinking alcohol is one of the biggest poisons that there is, and because everybody does it, you know and that was hard. I love my tequila. I loved it. Please, I'm not going to pretend that it wasn't a hard thing for me to quit at
Mhm.
38. I love my caffeine. I love eating meat, and then one day I couldn't eat it. I stopped eating meat at 30 years old in 1980. um, your body, when once you begin to tap into higher levels of consciousness, your body will take you to places, but you have to follow it. And then it's a discipline, because when you're used to having a drink in your hand all the time, it is a discipline not to have it.
Right. And I see so much self-discipline in you, in your physical, behaviors, and in your mental behaviors, your emotions. You have so much self-discipline. And the things I keep hearing that you haven't said, but I would imagine that you have this as a philosophy is no excuses. You
That
you just seem like that is one of the mantras that you live by. Do you have any other mantras that you would like to share with us?
well, I don't know if it's a mantra, but this too shall pass. This
Mhm.
too, this too shall pass. I mean, that is one of the biggest ones. I'm also surrounded by affirmations. I have affirmations everywhere. If
Me
you come
too.
to my home, I have them on the fridge. I have them in my bathroom. I have them in my bedroom. Everywhere, everywhere, everywhere. There's like, I read daily thoughts every day. I constantly do Ho'oponoponos. And in my home, it's a bit of an ashram. People think of it as an ashram. I have altars right now. I have beautiful candles. I brought all kinds of beautiful things that I brought back to feng shui my home even more. And so it's when people come in, they're like, oh my God, there's a Kuan Yin, there's beautiful Jesus, there's Buddhas. That's to remind me because my brain, my sweetie says that I have 10 little brains inside one brain. Because I have a very strong brain, a very beautiful brain. I love my brains. And they're like constantly, constantly, constantly. And they're like, the way that all of our brains, it's like a baby looking at a mobile above us. So we get entertained by things that may not be the best for us. So the discipline to just go inwards all the time, it's a profound discipline that you fall in love with once you begin to see the results that it creates. So first you have to start and then begin to really notice all the wonderful results that occur out of that. And then you anchor yourself and you do the tapping, you the walking on fire, the way that Tony, somebody we got started in the field, right? You handle the money, you create economic engines, you do the disciplines. Look, I've had to go back and work 13 hours a day. I don't need to be doing that, but I want to get certain things done. I'm finishing up the Money in You book, and it's taking a lot of discipline to do all the things that need to be done for that book to be absolutely magnificent. And the money that you have to spend. So the discipline of creating the life that you want, the results are so magnificent. And I'm on a 5 year stretch. So by the time that I'm 80 years old, I'm just going to go and do nothing but philanthropic and just beautiful work that I just want to do all the time, all the time, all the time. So that is something that I've chosen to do. So when you choose, it's not going to be that easy. I don't know where we get that life was going to be easy. There's a part of me that goes, how come life is not easy? If you are going to be successful, it's not going to be easy. So hang out with all of us that we know it's not going to be easy and we support and love each other, right?
Right. Oh my goodness, that is so true. I mean, we just, especially the young people, like, why is this so hard? That's a part of the process. Like the chicken that's trying to get, hatch. It has to peck its way out, and it's hard to break that shell and to get out of that egg. But that's what gives it the strength to then be able to survive. And without that, if you try to crack the egg open for the chick, it will die because it doesn't have the strength. And you are an excellent example of persevering through your loss, of taking stock of what you did have, of your assets and your access, and how you could leverage what you did have, and then making those choices to be aligned with the divine, to be aligned with love, to be aligned with service, and to empower others and to collaborate. You're a beautiful example, Dame Doria, and I'm so grateful to have you on today. Thank you so much for sharing your story with us.
Thank you for everything you do and the Los Angeles Tribune and Mo and everyone. I mean, there's what a beautiful team. And I just want to say something before we go. I was with, and I have many adopted grandchildren, and I was with this beautiful. I adopted one more the other day, and she's 17 years old, and they were and these two beautiful 17-year-olds that were just telling me all about their lives and all this and that. And then she says, "Oh," she goes, "I'm so happy. I'm going to be graduating, and then I'm going on to college, and no more homework." And I just looked at her and I go, "Oh, I got some really bad news for you." And she goes, "What?" I said, "It never stops. Homework never stops." I said, "I have homework right now in my hotel room that I have to go back to. But if you want to be a really successful person, you're going to have homework for the rest of your life." She goes, "Really?" I said, "But you're going to love it. It's the kind of homework that you really love. Like I can hardly wait until I go do it." She goes, really, you love it? And I go, I love it. And it was like this beautiful 17-year-old, beautiful girls, like, okay, homework, but we're going to love it. And it's like this, inspire the young, inspire all those around you, tell them the truth, but inspiring. And thank you all for the beautiful work that you do. Thank you.
Thank you for inspiring us because in your legacy years, you are doing a great work to inspire us. And I'm inspired by you. Thank you so much for sharing your life and sharing your wisdom and for all that you do as your example of a woman who empowers other women, as a Latina woman who has overcome so many obstacles in your life to be so successful and now to help so many others be successful.
Mhm.
That is a true definition of success. So thank you again.
Aloha.
Aloha.